Breaking tonight, terror at home, a top concern on this Thanksgiving Eve as the Obama administration tries to calm the fears of Americans on edge. President Obama and Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson both addressing the nation today, telling the nearly 47 million Americans traveling to be with their families this holiday to follow your plans, but be vigilant. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Sandra Smith, in for Megyn Kelly tonight. With ISIS threatening both the Big Apple and our nation's capital in just the last week, law enforcement in cities across the nation say they are not messing around this Thanksgiving, deploying additional patrols and even new units in the case of the NYPD to keep Americans safe. The TSA also stepping up its game, suspending the pre-check program and making sure everyone goes through security screening. However, that might not make Americans feel that much safer. Considering a few studies earlier this year, you may remember they suggested the TSA may be missing more threats than it actually catches. Meanwhile, the president is encouraging all Americans to be aware of their surroundings.
If you see something suspicious, say something. That's always helpful. But otherwise, Americans should go about their usual Thanksgiving weekend activities, spending time with family and friends and celebrating our blessings.
In moments, we'll discuss what travelers need to know with Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer and Joshua Katz, a former counterterrorism advisor who specializes in Homeland Security. But first, Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge has the latest on the heightened security you may encounter this Thanksgiving.
Sandra, this holiday weekend will test and stress the system because the Paris attacks are game changers for Homeland Security and the FBI. They show that ISIS in Syria is willing to hit soft targets outside the region and use Western passport holders to achieve their objectives. Today, the Secretary of Homeland Security said existing security at transit hubs and airports will be intensified. It will not be unusual to see armed patrols, as we did here at Reagan National Airport, as well as bomb-sniffing dogs. Based on the intelligence, the most significant factor are these foreign fighters who have trained with ISIS in Syria and may attempt to return to Europe or even the United States. They use these encrypted communications to hide their messages from authorities. And today, Secretary Johnson said there are other ways to track them.
This is something that our law enforcement community, the FBI, does a very good job of detecting, investigating, interdicting, and prosecuting. And we're going to continue at this. But we are vigilant. We are aware.
Tonight, the president's national security team is emphasizing that if they get specific and credible intelligence, this is the kind of information that they can act on. They'll share it immediately with the public. Sandra?
All right, Catherine Herridge, thank you. So if you are traveling, how concerned should you be? Joining me now, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, a CIA-trained intel operative who is now with the London Center for Policy Research, and Joshua Katz, a former CIA operations officer and counter-terror advisor who specializes in Homeland Security and intelligence. Colonel, I'll start with you first.
Sure.
Should we be concerned? So many Americans still have yet to pack their bags, get on the airplane, the train, or in their car. Should we be worried?
Well, look, I'm going to be one of the Americans traveling tomorrow to go to New York City, as a matter of fact. So, look, I would not recommend anyone be deterred at all from traveling. With that said, ISIS has made credible threats. I think we have to be very vigilant. And as much as I think that President Obama downplayed the threat, there are clearly ISIS operatives, in my judgment, here doing what we would call reconnaissance. So I think we must all continue to do what we always do, live our lives. But with that said, look over your shoulder. If you see something suspicious, you got to tell someone. And most importantly, we need to recognize that people are going to be out to essentially do harm to us as Americans. And again, foreign fighters, we got to look where the targets are coming in. We're not going to have members of your mother's bridge club attacking us. So we need to look at those foreign fighters, and we have to take this very seriously.
All right, Joshua, you have extensive knowledge of security procedures, specifically those that are implemented by the TSA at those airport screenings. We all remember that report, that audit that the TSA did of themselves earlier this year that revealed 96% failure of those mock weapons and explosives that the TSA failed to catch going through the screenings. Should we feel any safer today now that the TSA said that they have improved their process?
Absolutely not. The TSA has been broken for years. The TSA is broken. And let's just remember here that it's not only TSA, but we're not even screening, putting airport employees through traditional security screening. So that's an issue. And then on top of that, we're also tracking two credible threats here from ISIS and ISIS supporters who want to destroy planes. And in fact, and I'm hearing this tonight, that we're getting credible threats on ISIS trying to divert planes in midair. So that's something that people really need to worry about.
I mean, you're referencing those credible threats to aviation that your specific technology and your surveillance has been able to catch. But yet we have the Obama administration saying that there's no specific and credible threats to our aviation system at this time. Should we have confidence then, based on your knowledge of what's going on in the threat currently to our aviation system, should we have confidence in what is coming out of the administration today?
I'm sorry to say this, but absolutely not, especially when we're dealing with TSA and airline security. Listen, we are doing an abysmal job here. The American public deserves better. Our aviation industry is at risk. Passengers are at risk. This is just a horrific situation, and I think the Obama administration is downplaying this to much detriment to the public.
All right, Colonel, we all just heard Jay Johnson he said, travelers stay vigilant. What can we do to protect ourselves?
Well, three things. First, go about being cautious. I mean, if you see something, the best thing you have is your instincts. If it doesn't look right, say something. And I agree with Joshua here. Look, when you're going through TSA, it's all for show. If you're going through security, look through security. One of the targets I would go after, I've done something called red teaming. I actually did something right here in the building we're sitting in earlier this week, where I look at potential flaws in the security system. And look, terrorists watch this sort of thing too. Watch everything that goes on around you, even when you're going through security. You're not safe in security. You're actually a more vulnerable target in the time when you're in the queue. So be aware of the surroundings. And as stipulated, there are folks out there right now doing reconnaissance. So as you go through and do the things you have to do, make sure that you yourself have done everything to protect yourself within the confines of you have.
All right. Be vigilant, but keep traveling appears to be the message tonight. All right. Colonel and Joshua, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, breaking tonight, we are keeping a close eye on those Chicago protests. The story continues to develop there. This is a live look at the Windy City tonight, where hundreds are taking to the streets there, demanding that the mayor speak with them or they'll shut down Black Friday shopping over a police-involved shooting. Plus, terrorism now a top issue for voters heading into 2016. But who do Americans trust to keep us safe? Chris Stirewalt and Howie Kurtz are here to discuss where the candidates stand and who's winning and who's losing. And pollster Frank Luntz shows us the message: who is winning and who is resonating with the voters. Then Dana Perino on President Obama's attempt to reassure an increasingly concerned American public ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday.
As we go into Thanksgiving weekend, I want the American people to know is that we are taking every possible step to keep our homeland safe.